The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched for nearly a mile in every direction. Floating platforms held delegates from 12,000 different species. Some breathed oxygen. Some breathed methane. Some did not breathe at all. But today, every single one of them had come to witness the same thing. The unveiling of the new universal star. Map. Commander Tivik stood at the center platform. His gray skin reflected the blue light of the holographic projector before him. He had spent 300 years working on this map. His team had traveled to the edges of known space. They had cataloged every star, every planet, every moon. This was supposed to be his proudest moment, but as the map flickered to life above him, filling the enormous hall with billions of tiny lights, Tivik felt only dread. The map was beautiful. 8 spiral arms of the galaxy spread out like the petals of a flower. Colors marked different territories. Blue for the Volani Republic. Green for the Merchant Coalition. Purple for the ancient crystalline mines. Every civilization had its place. Every border was clearly drawn, except for one spot. In the outer edge of the Orion Arm was a perfect sphere of absolute darkness. No stars were shown. No planets were marked. Just empty black space 300 light-years across. And in the center of this darkness, words blinked in bright red. Do not enter. Young Ambassador Rella leaned forward on her floating platform. She was new to the council. Her species, the Volani, had only joined galactic society 500 years ago. She still had much to learn. But even she knew that this was strange. Commander Tivik, she called out. Her voice echoed through the silent hall. What is that dark region? Why is it not mapped? Tivik closed his 4 eyes. He had hoped no one would ask. But he knew this question would come eventually. That, he said slowly, is the forbidden sector. Whispers spread through the crowd. Delegates who had lived for thousands of years shifted nervously on their platforms. Some species had no faces, but their body language showed clear discomfort. Forbidden by whom? Rella asked. We have mapped neutron stars that could destroy entire fleets. We have cataloged black holes that eat light itself. We have even charted the Devourer Nebula, where ships go to die. What could possibly be so dangerous that we cannot even look at it? The 1,000-year archivist spoke next. It was a being made entirely of crystal, and it held the memories of countless civilizations within its structure. When it spoke, its voice rang like bells. That region is called the driveway, the archivist said. Rella tilted her head. The driveway? I do not understand. It is the territory surrounding a single star system, Sol, and the 3rd planet from that star. The one its inhabitants call Earth. More whispers. More nervous movement. Rella noticed that several delegates had actually left their platforms and were floating toward the exits. Earth. Rella almost laughed. You mean the humans? The primitive species? They have not even developed faster than light travel yet. They are still burning fossil fuels and arguing about their climate. How can they possibly be a threat? Tivik turned to face her directly. His 4 eyes were serious. Sad, even. You are young, Ambassador. Your species joined us after the Great Silence began. You do not know the history. Then tell me, Rella demanded. Tell everyone. Why does the mightiest alliance of civilizations in the universe fear a species that still dies from eating the wrong food? The hall fell completely silent. Even the beings that communicated through radio waves stopped their transmissions. Everyone waited. The archivist's crystals glowed brighter. Very well. I will access the restricted archives. But I warn you, Ambassador, what you are about to learn cannot be unlearned. The holographic map above them flickered and changed. The view zoomed in on the dark sphere. Then it zoomed in further, past the invisible barrier, toward a small yellow star with 8 planets orbiting around it. 4,300 years ago, the archivist began, the Keth Dominion discovered this system. The Keth were the most powerful military force in 3 galaxies. They had conquered over 600 species. They had never known defeat. Images appeared in the hologram. Ships, massive warships with weapons that could crack planets in half. 600 of them, moving in perfect formation, toward a small blue world. They detected primitive life on the third planet, creatures of carbon and water. No advanced technology. No defenses. The Keth commander called it an easy harvest. Rella watched as the fleet descended through the planet's atmosphere. She saw primitive cities below. Humans in simple clothing, looking up at the sky with confusion and fear. "What happened?" she asked quietly. The archivist paused. Its crystals dimmed slightly. "We do not know exactly. The Keth did not survive to give detailed reports. But we have fragments, distress signals, final transmissions." The hologram changed again. Now it showed chaos. Keth ships burning, explosions. Static-filled audio played through the hall. "They are learning too fast," a panicked voice said. "They captured one of our rifles and built 100 more in a single day. They are not supposed to be able to do this." Another voice cut in. "They found our shield frequency. They found it and they broke it." "How? They were using rocks yesterday?" Then a final transmission, calm, defeated. The voice of the Keth Admiral. "To any ship that receives this message, do not come to this world. Do not send rescue. Do not seek revenge. These creatures, they do not fight like us. They do not think like us. They adapt. They learn. They get angry. And when they get angry, the transmission cut to static." The hall was silent for a long time. 600 warships, Tivik said quietly. "The most advanced military fleet in the known universe, gone in 72 hours. And the humans. They went back to farming the next week. They wrote songs about it. They made it into stories for their children." Rella felt cold. A strange sensation for a warm-blooded species. "Surely," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "that was a mistake. An accident. They must have improved since then. Become more peaceful." The archivist's laugh sounded like breaking glass. "More peaceful. Ambassador. That was during their Bronze Age. They have had 4,000 more years to practice." The dark sphere on the map seemed to grow larger. The red words blinked steadily. "Do not enter." For the first time in her 500 years, Rella understood why. Rella could not sleep that night. She lay in her quarters on the station, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the dark sphere on the map, the forbidden sector, the driveway, Earth. She was a scientist before she became an ambassador. Her mind did not accept mysteries. It demanded answers. And the story of the Keth Dominion had too many holes. 600 ships destroyed by primitives? It seemed impossible. There had to be more information somewhere. By morning, she had made her decision. She would access the restricted archives herself. Getting permission took 3 weeks. She had to sign 17 different documents. She had to agree that she would never share what she learned with anyone outside the council. She had to submit to a memory scan to prove she was mentally stable enough to handle the information. Finally, they let her in. The archive room was small and cold. A single terminal sat in the center, glowing with soft blue light. Rella sat down and began to read. The first file was about the Keth Dominion. She already knew this story, but the details were worse than she had imagined. The humans had not just fought back. They had done something far more terrifying. They had learned, in the first 6 hours of the invasion, humans died by the thousands. Keth weapons cut through them like fire through paper. But even as they died, they watched. They studied. They took notes. By our 12 humans had captured a Keth soldier. They did not torture it for information. They did not need to. They simply took its equipment apart piece by piece, figured out how everything worked. By hour 24, humans were building their own versions of Keth weapons. Crude copies made from farming tools and metal scraps, but they worked. And humans made hundreds of them by hour 48. Humans had figured out the shield frequencies. Every Keth soldier wore a personal shield that could stop any projectile. It was their greatest advantage. It had protected them in 1,000 wars. Humans found the weakness in 2 days. They did not have the technology to match the shields, so they found ways around them. sound waves at certain frequencies, chemical compounds that disrupted the energy field, simple blades thrust at exactly the right angle. By hour 72, the Keth were running. Rella read faster. Her hearts were beating hard in her chest. The next file was about the melodic collective. This was a species that communicated through song. Their music could control minds. They could make any species feel peace, love, happiness. They had ended wars with a single note. They were not conquerors. They were peacekeepers. They came to Earth 500 years after the Keth, hoping to bring humanity into harmony with the galaxy. It did not work. Humans could hear the music. They could feel its pull. But somehow they could resist it. Their minds were too chaotic, too independent. The harmony could not take hold, and then something worse happened. Humans started making their own music. They learned the frequencies. They experimented with sound. Within one generation, they had created songs that could break the collective's control entirely. Songs that made listeners feel anger instead of peace, sadness instead of joy. The collective fled Earth and never returned. Rella moved to the next file. This one was about the Silicon Hive. The Hive was a machine species. Billions of tiny robots that worked together as one mind. They were the greatest infiltrators in the galaxy. They could hide in any system, any device. They gathered information for whoever paid them. They sent scouts too. Earth in the year humans called 1950. The scouts were small, simple machines designed to watch and report. They hid in human buildings. They observed human behavior. They sent data back to the Hive. But something strange happened. Humans found the scouts, and instead of destroying them, humans studied them, copied them, improved them. The Hive watched in horror as humans built their own thinking machines, primitive at first. Giant rooms full of wires and tubes, but the humans kept improving. They made the machines smaller, faster, smarter. Within 50 years, humans carried tiny thinking machines in their pockets. They called them phones. The Hive had accidentally given humanity the gift of computing, and humans ran with it further than any species had before. Rella's hands were shaking now. She opened the final file. The most classified one. The one that required 3 levels of security clearance to access. The Eternal Dominion. The Dominion was the oldest empire in the galaxy. They had existed for 1,000,000 years. They believed they were destined to rule all life. They had technology so advanced that it seemed like magic. They sent observers to Earth in the year humans called 1939. They wanted to see if humanity was ready for conquest. They saw it changed everything. Humanity was already at war with itself. 2 massive groups of humans were fighting across an entire continent. The Dominion observers watched as humans killed each other by the millions. They used weapons that fired metal at incredible speeds. They dropped explosives from flying machines. They burned entire cities to the ground. The Dominion was impressed but not worried. Humans were clearly dangerous, but they were still primitive. They had no real threat to offer. Then the year 1945 came. The observers detected a strange energy signature over a human city called Hiroshima. They scanned it, analyzed it, and then they felt true fear for the first time in 1,000,000 years. Humans had split the atom. They had discovered nuclear fission, and they had immediately turned it into a weapon. They dropped it on their own kind. They killed 100,000 humans in a single flash of light. And then, 3 days later, they did it again. The Dominion observers sent one final message to their empire. They broke the atom. They used it to destroy themselves. They are not ready for contact. They may never be ready. Recommend full isolation protocol. Seal the sector. Do not return. The Galactic Council voted that same year. Every species agreed. Earth would be marked on every map. The words would be simple and clear. Do not enter. Rella closed the terminal. She sat in the dark room for a long time, thinking. The humans had not become more peaceful over time. They had become more dangerous, and they did not even know it. They were still down there on their little blue planet, arguing about politics and watching entertainment on their screens. They had no idea that the entire galaxy was watching them with fear, and they had no idea that the galaxy's greatest mistake was about to bring them into the light. The cargo ship Gentle Wind was not supposed to be anywhere near the Forbidden Sector. It was a simple trading vessel, carrying medical supplies from the Volani Republic to the Merchant Coalition's outer stations. Its captain, a four-armed being named Tovak, had made this trip 100 times before, but this time something went wrong. A navigation error, a computer glitch, a single wrong number in the jump calculations. The Gentle Wind came out of faster-than-light travel in the wrong place. Very, very wrong. Tovak stared at his screens in horror. The red warning lights were flashing everywhere. The words on his display made his blood run cold. Warning. Forbidden sector boundary crossed. Turn back immediately. He tried. He powered up the engines and set a course for the nearest safe zone. But then another alarm went off. The life support system was failing. Carbon dioxide levels were rising. His crew of 12 was going to suffocate before they could escape. Tovak sent out a distress signal. He did not expect anyone to answer. No ship would enter the Forbidden Sector to save them. They would die here at the edge of human space. No one would ever know what happened. He was wrong. Something answered. It was not a Galactic Council rescue ship. It was not a Merchant Coalition patrol. It was something much smaller, much simpler. A tiny vessel made of metal and plastic. Held together with what looked like sticky tape and hope, Tovak watched through his viewport as the strange ship approached. It was barely bigger than an escape pod. Its design was crude and ugly, but it moved with surprising speed, matching the Gentle Wind's drift perfectly. Then his communication screen flickered to life. A face appeared. A human face, female, young, smiling. "Hello there," the human said. "We picked up your distress signal. Sounds like you have a life support problem. Mind if we come aboard and take a look?" Tovak could not speak. His translator was working fine. He understood every word, but his brain refused to process what was happening. Humans, real humans, coming to help him. "I will take your silence as a yes," the human said cheerfully. "Sit tight. We will be there in 2 minutes." The small ship docked with the Gentle Wind. Tovak heard the airlock cycling, then footsteps. Heavy boots on metal floors. Getting closer, the door to the bridge opened. 3 humans walked in. The first was the female who had spoken on the screen. She was tall and thin, with long black hair tied back in a tail. She wore a suit that looked like it was made from shower curtains and tape. Her name tag said Yuna. The second was a male. Shorter, wider, with thick arms and a round face. He carried a bag full of tools that rattled with every step. His name tag said Minho. The third was another female. Small and quick, with sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything at once. She was already looking at the control panels, her fingers twitching like she wanted to take them apart. Her name tag said Hannah. "Wow," Yuna said, looking around the bridge. "Nice ship. Much bigger than ours. Do you mind if we check your air system? The carbon dioxide problem should be easy to fix." Tovak finally found his voice. You are humans," Yuna said. She did not seem to think this was important. "And you are Volani, right? I recognize the skin pattern from our databases. Beautiful coloring, by the way. Is that natural, or do you do something special?" Tovak did not know how to answer that question. He was having trouble breathing. And not just because of the carbon dioxide. Minho had already disappeared into the back of the ship. Hannah was pulling panels off the wall, examining the wires underneath. Neither of them seemed concerned about being on an alien vessel. They moved like they had done this 1,000 times before. "Found the problem?" Minho called out. His voice echoed through the ship. "Your CO2 scrubber burned out. The backup did not activate. Easy fix. What do we have to work with?" Yuna asked. "Not much. But I see some plastic bottles in their storage. And is that a fish tank?" "Perfect. Give me 20 minutes." Tovak watched in stunned silence as the humans worked. They did not have the right tools. They did not have the right parts. They had never seen Volani technology before. But none of that seemed to matter. Misho took apart a water bottle and connected it to a tube from the fish tank. Hannah rewired the backup system using metal from a food container. Una talked to the Volani crew, keeping them calm, asking questions about their families and their travels. In 18 minutes, the air started to clear. The carbon dioxide levels dropped. The crew could breathe again. "We go," Minho said, wiping his hands on his pants. "Should hold until you reach a proper station. I would recommend getting that scrubber replaced soon, though. The fish tank solution is not permanent." Tovak looked at the crude repair. Plastic and tape and algae from an aquarium. It should not work. It absolutely should not work. But it did. "Why?" he asked. "Why did you help us?" Una looked confused by the question. "You were in trouble? We heard your signal. What else were we supposed to do? We are aliens. We are from the civilization that has been avoiding your species for thousands of years. You should hate us." The three humans looked at each other. Then they laughed. Not cruel laughter. Genuine, surprised laughter. "Hate you?" Hannah said. "Why would we hate you? We just met you. You seem nice. Besides," Minho added, "no one should die just because their air filter broke. That is a stupid way to go." Una stepped closer to Tovak. Her eyes were warm, kind. Not the eyes of a monster. Not the eyes of a species that the galaxy feared. She said gently, "We know about the Forbidden Sector. We know that your people are scared of us. Tyon and our cryptography department cracked your signals about 60 years ago. We have been listening ever since." Tovak felt a new wave of fear. They knew. They had always known. But here's the thing, Una continued. We understood why you were scared. Our history is not pretty. We know that. We have done terrible things to each other. We were not ready to meet the galaxy. So we waited. We stayed in our little corner of space. We worked on ourselves. Chose to stay isolated? We thought it was the polite thing to do, Una smiled. Good fences make good neighbors, right? But now that you are here and we have met face to face, maybe it is time to start talking. Hannah appeared beside her, holding a piece of the Gentle Wind's engine. Also, your faster-than-light drive is really inefficient. I have some ideas for improvements. Want to hear them? Tovak looked at the three humans, friendly, helpful, brilliant, and completely terrifying in ways they did not even understand. I think, he said slowly, the Galactic Council needs to know about this. Una's smile grew wider. We were hoping you would say that. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was held virtually. No one wanted to be in the same room as the humans. 12,000 species connected through screens and holograms, watching from the safety of their own worlds. Some were millions of light years away. They still did not feel far enough. Una stood at a small podium on the council station. Minho and Hannah stood behind her. They wore their best clothes, which still looked like they had been made from random materials found in a closet. Minho had a small stain on his shirt. Hannah kept touching the buttons on her jacket like she wanted to take them apart and see how they worked. Commander Tivik spoke first. His voice trembled slightly. Humans of Earth, you have been invited to this session to explain your intentions. The Forbidden Sector has protected the galaxy from your species for over 4,000 years. You have now made contact. What do you want? Una cleared her throat. She looked nervous, but not in the way the aliens expected. She was not nervous about being surrounded by powerful civilizations. She was nervous about public speaking. First of all, she said, "Thank you for having us. This is really exciting. We have been wanting to meet all of you for a long time." Silence. The delegates did not know how to react. I guess I should start by addressing the elephant in the room, Una continued. Or, well, the humans in the room. We know you are scared of us. We know about the Keth Dominion. We know about the Melodic Collective and the Silicon Hive and the Eternal Dominion. We know what our ancestors did. More silence. Several delegates had stopped breathing entirely, and honestly, we get it. Our history is a mess. We spent most of our existence fighting each other. We built weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came close to ending our own species at least 3 times. We are not proud of that. Minho leaned toward a microphone. To be fair, we were going through some stuff. Puberty as a species is rough. Few delegates made sounds that might have been nervous laughter. Most remained frozen. Rella, the young Villani ambassador, found her courage. If you knew about us all along, why did you not attack? You clearly had the ability. Your species learns faster than any we have ever encountered. You could have developed faster than light travel and conquered us all. Yuna looked genuinely confused. Why would we do that? Because that is what powerful species do. They expand. They conquer. They dominate. I mean, some humans think that way, I guess. But most of us just want to live our lives. Raise our families. Watch our shows. Eat good food. She paused. Have you ever tried eating good food? It is really nice. We have so many different kinds. Minho makes this fermented vegetable dish called kimchi. It is amazing, the 1,000-year archivist spoke. Its crystal voice rang through every speaker. You were saying that humanity, the species that destroyed the Keth Dominion in 3 days, has chosen not to expand because you prefer eating and watching entertainment. I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds silly, Hannah said. But also, yes, we have problems at home. Climate change, political fights, economic inequality. We figured we should fix our own house before we go knocking on other people's doors. Tivik leaned forward. You truly have no desire to conquer the galaxy. Honestly, that sounds exhausting, Yuna said. Do you know how much paperwork that would involve? We hate paperwork. Your species split the atom and used it to destroy 2 of your own cities. Yes, and that was terrible. We regret it every day. But we also used that same technology to power hospitals and homes. We are complicated like that. We can be really scary and really kind at the same time. Sometimes in the same afternoon, a delegate from the Gas Giant Collective spoke through a translator. How can we trust you? How do we know you will not change your minds and decide to conquer us tomorrow? Yuna thought about this for a moment. You cannot know for sure. We cannot either. Humans are unpredictable. We surprise ourselves all the time. But I can tell you what we want right now. We want to trade. We want to share ideas. We want to learn about your cultures and show you ours. We want to make friends. Friends? The concept seemed foreign to many delegates. Yes, friends. Beings who care about each other. Who help each other when times are hard. Who share meals and stories and jokes. We are really good at jokes. Minho, tell them the one about the 3 species walking into a bar. Minho shook his head. Maybe later. They do not look ready. Anna stepped forward. Can I say something? I know you are all scared of how fast we learn. And I understand. It is kind of our thing. We see something new, and we cannot stop ourselves from taking it apart to see how it works. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. But here is the thing. We do not just learn how to destroy things. We learn how to build things too. Better things. When we met the Silicon Hive scouts, we did not make weapons. We made computers. We made phones. We made the internet. We used their technology to connect billions of humans together. She pointed at the screens, showing all the alien delegates. Imagine what we could do if we worked together. Your knowledge and our creativity. Your experience and our energy. We could solve problems that have existed for millions of years.
Ow.
The hall was silent. But this time, it was a different kind of silence. Not fear. Something closer to consideration. Rella spoke again. What do you propose? Yuna straightened her jacket. We propose a trial period. Keep the forbidden sector in place. Keep your boundaries. But build a station at the edge. A meeting place. Humans who want to meet aliens can come there. Aliens who want to meet humans can visit. Slow and careful, 1 step at a time. And if things go wrong, then we go back to our corner of space and leave you alone. No hard feelings. We are patient. We can wait another few thousand years if we need to. Tivik looked at the other delegates. Thousands of species, watching, waiting. The decision would change the galaxy forever. You really just want to share food and tell jokes? He asked, Yuna nodded. And learn about your cultures. And maybe trade some technology. And possibly get some help with our faster-than-light research, because, honestly, we are stuck on that one. We will need to vote, Tivik said. Of course. Take your time. We have been waiting for 1,000 years. A few more days will not hurt. The vote took 3 weeks. Every species had to weigh in. Every concern had to be addressed. Every fear had to be considered. In the end, the result was closer than anyone expected. 62% in favor, 38% against. The station would be built. The first official contact between humanity and the galaxy would begin. Yuna received the news on her small ship, drifting at the edge of the forbidden sector. She read the message twice to make sure she understood. Then she turned to Minho and Hannah with tears in her eyes. "We are in," she said. They said yes. Minho smiled and started preparing food. It was going to be a long journey. Humans always celebrated with a good meal. Hannah was already sketching designs for the new station. Her mind was racing with possibilities, and somewhere in the great hall of the Galactic Council, Rella watched the dark sphere on the map. The words still blinked in red. Do not enter. But for the first time in 4,000 years, she wondered if maybe they should update the sign. 1 galactic year had passed since the vote. 12 Earth months. Enough time for everything to change. The station floated at the edge of the forbidden sector, like a lighthouse at the boundary of an ocean. Humans called it the front porch. It was a strange name that confused many alien species, till someone explained that a porch was where humans sat to greet their neighbors. The design was half human and half alien. Metal corridors opened into gardens filled with plants from 100 worlds. Alien technology hummed alongside human machines held together with tape and determination. It should not have worked. But somehow, it did. Yuna stood in the main observation deck, looking out at the stars. A year ago, she had been a simple engineer on a tiny ship. Now she was the unofficial human ambassador to the galaxy. She still did not know how that had happened. Ambassador Yuna, a voice called behind her. She turned. It was Rella, the Villani delegate, who had asked all those questions at the first council meeting. Over the past year, they had become something like friends.
Baz!
Please stop calling me ambassador, Yuna said. It makes me feel old. Scales shifted, and what Yuna had learned was a Villani smile. Very well, Yuna. I have been reviewing the reports from the station. The numbers are remarkable. Good remarkable, or bad remarkable. I am still deciding. They walked together through the station corridors. Everywhere they looked, there were signs of change. In one room, Minho was teaching a group of young aliens how to cook. A Villani child was carefully cutting vegetables, while a being made of living crystal watched with fascination. The smell of garlic and ginger filled the air. The secret to good food is patience, Minho was saying. And also a lot of salt. Many species do not use enough salt. My species absorbs nutrients through our skin, one alien said. We do not eat. That is the saddest thing I've ever heard, Minho replied. But maybe we can figure something out. Have you tried soaking in broth? In another room, Hannah was surrounded by engineers from 12 different species. They were gathered around a holographic display showing the equations for faster-than-light travel. Human calculations were mixed with alien formulas. Notes were written in a dozen different languages. If we combine your quantum tunneling approach with our gravity manipulation, Yuna was saying, we might be able to cut travel time by 40%. That is impossible, a Silicon Hive engineer clicked. We have been working on this problem for 1,000,000 years. Right, but you were working alone. Fresh eyes help. Hannah grinned. Also, we had coffee this morning. Humans think faster after coffee. Rella watched all of this with a mixture of amazement and worry. Your species has integrated faster than anyone predicted. In 12 months, humans have formed partnerships with species that have been rivals for centuries. You have solved engineering problems that have existed for generations. You have even managed to make the crystalline minds laugh. Is that unusual? Yuna asked. The crystalline minds have not laughed in 8,000 years. They had forgotten they could make that sound. Yuna shrugged. Minho told them the joke about the 3 species walking into a bar. I think the timing was what got them. They reached the observation deck at the far end of the station. Through the window, they could see the Forbidden Sector, the dark sphere on the map that had protected the galaxy from humanity for so long. The Council has been discussing the exclusion zone, Rella said carefully. Some delegates believe it is time to remove the warning, to open Earth to full contact. Una shook her head. Not yet. We asked them to keep it. You want to remain isolated? You want to go slow? Humans are a lot. We have 8 billion people down there, and most of them have never seen an alien before. If we open the doors all at once, it will be chaos. Some will be excited, some will be scared, and some will try to start a fight just because that is what humans do when they are confused. Rella nodded slowly. So the Forbidden Sector remains. But the sign has been changed. Una smiled. Yeah, I wrote the new version myself. The holographic map flickered to life on the observation deck display. The dark sphere was still there. The Forbidden Sector still existed, but the words had changed. The old warning was gone. In its place, new text blinked in soft green light. Welcome. Please knock. What is a strange message, Rella said. It is a human message, Una replied. We do not want to shut people out, just want them to be polite. Show up unannounced, and you might get a hostile reaction. Knock first, and we will probably invite you in for dinner. A door opened behind them. Minho walked in, carrying a tray of food. Behind him, a small crowd of aliens followed, drawn by the smell. Front porch special, Minho announced. Rice bowls with grilled vegetables and that spicy sauce the Villani seemed to like. Also, I made extra for the Silicon Hive engineers. I do not know if robots can eat, but they keep asking to try. The observation deck filled with beings from across the galaxy. They sat together, sharing food that had been made by human hands using alien ingredients. Conversations happened in a dozen languages. Laughter echoed off the walls. Hannah appeared at Una's side, holding a tablet. The new engine designs are working. We ran the simulations with the Coalition engineers. Travel time reduced by 47%. That is better than you predicted.
I know.
Turns out the Villani had a power regulation technique we never considered, and the Silicon Hive figured out how to reduce heat buildup. When you put it all together, Hannah's eyes were bright with excitement. Una, we are going to change everything, not just travel. Communication, medicine, energy, all of it. Scary thought. The best kind of scary. Later that night, when most of the station had gone to sleep, Una returned to the observation deck alone. She looked out at the stars, thinking about everything that had happened. 4,000 years ago, humans had been feared, voided, locked away like dangerous animals. And maybe that had been fair. Humanity had done terrible things. They had destroyed fleets and broken empires and split atoms just to see what would happen. But they had also built beautiful things. Art and music and stories that made people cry. Medicines that saved lives. Technologies that connected billions of minds. And now, finally, they were sharing those things with the rest of the galaxy. The 1,000-year archivist had updated its records last week. Una had managed to get a copy. Species, human, homeworld, Sol, 3, Earth, classification, contradictory. Dangerous beyond measure yet driven by relentless compassion. Capable of extinctional level, violence, yet primarily interested in sharing food, stories, and something called memes. Recommendation: approach with caution, snacks, and an open mind. Do not under any circumstances challenge them to games of endurance, creativity, or spite. Will lose. Una had laughed when she read it. Then she had added her own note at the bottom. She did not know how she had managed to get past the 17 layers of encryption. She had just tried, and it worked. Humans were good at that sort of thing. Her addition was simple. You were all invited to the cookout. Bring your own chair. Minho says the kimchi will be ready by next week. She looked at the star map one more time. It's a dark sphere with its new green message. The first step on a journey that would take generations. Behind her, the station hummed with life. Alien and human, working together, learning together, growing together. The galaxy had spent 4,000 years hiding from humanity. Now, finally, they were ready to meet the neighbors, and the neighbors were happy to finally say hello.